Welcome everyone. In today's video I'm going to share with you how I designed solar for an auxiliary dwelling unit using BricsCAD to generate the permit drawings. Who am I? Well, I'm RB. This is my YouTube channel, and I operate a creative design business where I draft plans and pull permits. I also do solar designs. I've been using AutoCAD programs for more than 25 years and have worked in the solar industry since 1998. You might ask why BricsCAD? I used AutoCAD for years until I had an issue with their subscription program. It was such a bad experience that I invested my time switching to a new CAD program. That was in 2017, and I've been successful using BricsCAD ever since, and have only subscribed to AutoCAD one time for a special project. BricsCAD is nearly an exact clone of AutoCAD. It's identical in many ways, making it easier to transition and less costly alternative to use. I highly recommend it if you're thinking about changing programs. So is solar installation different on an ADU? Any new construction in California needs to include solar. It's a state mandatory requirement, and you'll always see the PV system listed in the energy compliance documents. I'm going to do a high-level look at the solar design and then run through the CAD drawing. So let's get started. The first drawing in our design package is the layout plan. This will show the array location, the fire department requirements, and attachment details. When you're looking at our layout page, you'll notice that up in the left-hand corner is where all the notes are at. These are general notes. And then I have abbreviations and also the list of symbols that you'll see on this plan. So this is a template that I use to create the solar drawing. So it's something I've been using for years. At the top, we've got a site plan. So on the site plan, we'll show the array location and then the fire department pathway and the street. So we identify those things. And then the driveway sometimes will be identified. And then we have some notes up here, and then fire access notes. And these are just based on what you'll find in the code, but good to list it on here so that if somebody's new to installing solar and they've got this plan, they'll kind of understand what the requirements are for the setbacks. And then I'll paste in the information for the roof and the attachment info. The roof layout will indicate the location of the attachments. And drawing here, we're using a 4-foot center, which this is in LA County, and they usually ask for that. The next plan that we're working on is going to be the electrical plan. This shows our electrical equipment along with cable runs and connections. And we also show the warning labels and placards on this sheet. So you'll see on here up in the left-hand corner is signage notes. So this will describe what the signage is going to be. And you know, this is it's pretty standard stuff nowadays. So you can contact a place like PV Labels or something, pvlabels.com, and then this placard down below that it's not required everywhere, but it's a good idea to put that on for the fire department so that they know what to do if they get to that location and they see that there's solar on the roof. So on this plan we've got the wiring and the modules, and this particular plan we've got six modules, so we list those and identify different parts of where this stuff is going. And I'll show you that in the CAD drawing, how I create this plan. The next plan that we have, this is called a SLD, or a single line drawing. This would be our third sheet. This is where we show a schematic view of the PV system and list the breakers and cable sizes. So mostly what you'll see on here is just on these lines, we'll identify what that cable is, and you'll see that they're kind of different in ways. So we've got one line that represents the grounding system. This is grounded just like any other AC system, but for the longest time when we used to do DC installations, the building departments wanted to see that as that it's grounded correctly, and they wanted that on the plan. So they kind of got added Typically a single line would just be one line. There wouldn't be an extra line for the grounding. And but in solar PV systems, this is pretty much the standard way to do it. And you'll see on here the equipment is the main service panel. And for this one, the ADUs are required to have a 225 amp service panel. It doesn't matter how big the ADU is, as long as it's detached from the house, or if you're putting in a separate meter, you're going to ask for a 225 amp panel. And then what you do is you come over and you have this combiner box that we use. Here it's called Enphase IQ Combiner. And so inside of this combiner box has got the monitoring equipment. So this will have your gateway and everything in it. So it's about the same price to buy this with the breakers and everything in it as it is to get the Envoy. It's the monitoring device that goes inside of that. So you might as well just buy it all at once. And it'll have a couple breakers in there, and then of course you can add to the system if you want. But you might have to upsize the cable or whatever. In this case, we got a 20 amp circuit, so whatever 20 amps can hold, that's the maximum size for that. We use an Excel spreadsheet to create these tables here, and then what I'll do is I'll go on the spreadsheet and copy that and paste it into the drawing. I find that it's easier to do that for me instead of linking the tables together. I have less issues with it because once it's pasted into the drawing, it's not going to change on you. So it's going to stay there no matter what. The reference doesn't change. You don't have to worry about updating it or anything. If you make a change to the plan, you go in and you delete this and you copy a new one and you repaste it in. It's pretty simple. So that's my preferred method for doing that. And our last two sheets are going to be spec sheets. So on the spec sheets, we identify the modules. So in this case, we're using a Q-Peak Dual Black MLG10 series. This is by Q-Cell. And these are in the 400 watt range. So what I'll do for the modules is I'll go online and I'll find whatever is the most available currently, and that's the size that I based everything on. And actually we do that work before we start anything else. Enphase inverter, that's pretty common. Enphase is probably one of the simplest systems to install. It's basically just plug and play, so you really can't go wrong with it. And that's why it's mostly what people use. I think probably they might have 60 to 80% of the market in the United States. For the residential market anyways. And then so we'll have the Enphase inverter, and then we listed the IQ combiner. And so the IQ combiner has the gateway in it that'll link everything. And you also have to have one of these if you want to do a battery system. So in order to do a battery system, you got to add another device, and it's like a master controller for the system, and then your batteries. And then of course this would have to have a cellular connection in it, so you'd have to add that or do the installation with a cellular connection to begin with. So IQ Combiner 5 is just a standard wireless gateway, or you can connect it with a cable, Cat 5 or Cat 6, type cable. And then we also put in the compliance certificate. Here's one for the racking system. So on that one, I'll show the racking system that we're using and all different features of it, and then the attachment information for how it's been engineered. So this is all pre-engineered. The racking is UL listed, so there's special UL listing for it. And then there's the compliance testing for that, for conformity. But that just kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to, how it's going to be attached. We're showing that it's fire rated, so it's just more of a compliance thing. And it does help the installer too. If they've never worked with this stuff before, they can kind of read this and go, oh yeah, here I'm going to be putting in this attachment here, and it gives kind of a detail for the going on a roof, so it's illustrated. It's kind of nice, I mean, it's important that they read the installation manual, but these are just guides to help them, to get through the job. So we want to list that kind of stuff on here. These are the drawings that we'll be creating, but Some of the first things that you want to do before you start the design is you want to review the compliance plan. So when doing the solar for the ADU or a new construction, you want to look at the approved building plans. And the approved building plans will list the minimum requirement sizes on the Title 24 compliance sheet. And this will show, this will be shown in the DC kilowatts, and that's for the solar array. So when they say DC, that lists the module output as tested on a test bench. What they do is they flash it with 1,000 watts per square meter of energy or light, and that's the standard testing condition. So you'll see an STC label, and then what that means is that at the standard testing conditions, this is the specification for that module, and then so you'll have several parameters on the modules. One will be the size, so those are physical, the size, the weight, and then we'll have the DC rating, so we'll get a module DC rating, so that's based on standard test conditions, and that's always tested in a laboratory type environment, so the test flash will be at room temperature. And then real world conditions are different, so when you get a solar panel and you put it out in the field, it'll not be as strong in a hotter temperature. So if you could have full sunlight at 1,000 watts per meter squared, but be at a temperature that's, say, a 75 C at the module level, where they've been testing it at 25 C. So the temperature will degrade the output from the module. So maybe in the winter time you might see it at a higher output, but generally it operates, on an average would be at a lower rating because of the output. So when you're looking at sizing an inverter to your module, you use this thing called an inverter load ratio. And what you'll do with the inverter load ratio is you take the module rating divided by the inverter continuous output power. And what you're looking at for the inverter load ratio is you want ideally to be about 1.25, so that's perfect load ratio for a system. As you get higher up on this load ratio, you'll start to experience some clipping of energy. So in peak power conditions, say in the wintertime, you've got full sunlight, your module's outputting at its peak capacity, it might exceed the rating of the inverter by 10%, or it could even be 20%, depending on the actual conditions at the site. But the inverter is only going to output what it's rated for. So you got to kind of balance, efficiency of the system versus the cost of installation. And then if you start seeing your systems going up to 1.4, consider going to the next level on the inverter sizing. This is something that's been pretty well known for years, something that you just want to keep an eye on. So on this particular system with the 3.49 inverter continuous output, this gives us an inverter load ratio of 1.16. The farther you go east, the more that window of operation changes, and you're going to be generating electricity in the morning, and they're only going to give you a credit that's, morning credit, so you're off peak and you're just not getting very much out of it. Whereas when you're generating electricity in the evening and you're matching your air conditioning load, so you want to get those credits rather than in the morning. So once we get all our information about our system, that we know what sizes we're going to use, in our base drawing is an XREF file. And here we'll be working in model space. And so in model space, you'll notice that it has a black background to it when you're working in it, and that's indicating that you're in the model space. And so there's two conditions for the CAD drawing. You can do it in model space, or you can work on it in paper space. And what I like to do is I like to do my base drawings in model space. So I'll lay out all the equipment and the parameters of the site and the details. And then I do all the annotation in the paper space. I'll switch over to paper space, XREF in that CAD file. From there, I can do whatever annotation over the top. And we'll just use, we'll XREF the CAD file into the model space within the paper space drawing. And then we use viewport windows to see whatever it is that we want to see. And I can rotate the viewport window that way, or, zoom in or out and set the scales on it. And I don't like putting too much annotation, text and fonts and stuff in the base drawing. Sometimes I'll do it for certain things, but it's hard to manage the scaling on that. And so I find that it's just better just to lay out all your equipment. If it's going to be a base drawing, it's going to be used amongst different drawings. So like if you got a more complicated drawing set, then maybe you'll put in some dimensions in there, or maybe some annotation that can be used over and over again in those drawings. I try to avoid that. And if I do the annotation in the drawing, I got a nice little cheat sheet that will allow me to just figure out what size the font's going to be really quickly. And it's pretty handy. And then, so in the base drawing, once we complete the different things within the site, we'll move on to those other drawings that I showed you. So basically, the rest of this video is going to just be me working in the AutoCAD. And what I did was I speeded it up a little bit so that you can see that how the CAD file is kind of put together. So if you need to have something specific that you want to know about, leave a comment. I'll try to address it in the comment. If there's something that you want me to do a little video on, I could do that too. I've been working with the BricsCAD for a long time. I really like it. And I can show people how to do different things within BricsCAD if there's something that's of interest. I'm not really like a BricsCAD how-to video channel, but it just happens to be something that I work with almost on a daily basis. And being that I like it so much, I mean, it's like a go-to CAD program for me that it's just useful in demonstrating some of the projects that I'm working on. So on the solar project, this made sense to do that. Another thing you'll notice is I use Excel. And so for anything where I've got to have a calculation of basically anything of size, or I got to define a cable or something, I like to go to the Excel spreadsheet. And then I have little things that I can work in there, like a little program or something. And I made that into a template. And I change it all the time, so it's not like a permanent kind of template. It helps to kind of eliminate human error, transferring the data to the plan, so you don't want to make mistakes. So the spreadsheet helps with that, maintaining consistency within the program. But even then, you got to kind of pay attention. Sometimes you could cut and paste a formula in, and then damage it somehow. And it's not formulating, and then you think your drawing's working, and it's not. So it's just something to look out for if you're using a spreadsheet. And then once the page is complete, so we've worked through a whole CAD file. We've done the base drawings. We've XREF'd it into the paper space plans, and then we worked on a paper space drawing. We've completed that, and then we'll send that to the plotter, and then plot it to a PDF. And then after I get all the plans ready, so in this case there's 5, I'll take the 5 plans and then I combine that in a PDF file. I like to use Foxit program, and I like that one because it's inexpensive, does the job, and I don't have to keep updating the subscription every month and pay monthly, to somebody that's not doing anything for me other than maybe changing the layout on their program. At least with this one, you buy the update when you need it, so it goes for a couple of years, and you can pay for an update, in a couple, 2 or 3 years, and then you're off. You've paid for it. It's done. You don't have to worry about this subscription stuff, where you're constantly having to make sure you got money to pay for that. You can't just take time off then and let it sit. Right now I've got 2 subscription programs running. One's for this thing called Magic Plan, which I really love. Magic Plan, I really like using that, and I do some videos on that, and I'm going to try to use that more in my design side. But for now, I'm mainly just using it to document the existing conditions of projects. But I really like working with it. They've done a really good job with that. And highly accurate, efficient to use. It's fast. It's one of the fastest programs out there for working with drawings, trying to bring in a drawing into a CAD file. So like these are all 2D CAD. So I need a 2D drawing. And I'll tell you what, you could do this in 3D. But the time and the effort and the cost of the equipment, the cost of the program to run 3D and everything, and when you only need a 2D drawing, I don't see any point in doing 3D. Maybe if you're doing a big building and you want to do building information management, BIM, maybe for a school, something big, makes sense. But for private party plan for a solar equipment, I don't see charging somebody thousands of dollars because I do a 3D drawing for that. This is real simple. It's just a 2D. Our output is in PDF. You can print those out on hard copy if you want, or just send it around in a PDF. And most everything's electronic nowadays, so it's a perfect way to go. It took me a couple months to really get up to the speed that I was in AutoCAD. But man, I'd been using AutoCAD for 15 years, 20 years by the time I got to where I wanted to change. And so this is a plug for BricsCAD. Ever since I've had this program, it's worked perfect. I haven't had any issues with it. There hasn't been any failures. There hasn't been moments where I've wanted to get on the program and, the link is down, and I can't get to the file, and, your subscription's not going to work, and blah, 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 Or at the end of the month, I'm paying again. Oh, hey, look, I get to pay again, This brings this video to an end. I don't really have anything more that I can contribute. I've seen everything with the solar design. If you got any questions, leave the comments. And then also I like likes, so likes and comments, and then the like buttons right over here. We need to get the likes so that we can get the video out. Unfortunately, if you've watched it to this point, that means you're interested in the video, and then that'll show up and I'll be able to know, oh, people are watching it. So usually what will happen is somebody will click on it because they see the thumbnail, and then maybe they'll watch a few minutes of it and go, oh yeah, this isn't for me. I'm not gonna get anything out of this. And I kind of understand. I do the same thing, Hey, I'm a consumer of products, so I'm going to consume a video, and then while I'm consuming it, the platform gets to send me some commercials, and I'll watch the commercials if I really like the video. Otherwise, I'll just shut it off and go on to something else. So I think that's probably what happens with this kind of thing. So somebody will get on there, and then they test it. They'll run that video for a little bit, and if they see people are clicking off, it doesn't get put out there as long. So by you being out to this point, you really helped me out. If you didn't like the video, I always say try subscribing, because you might get something out of the next video that'll be even better. You might be surprised. The next video, I might do something that you've never even heard of before. I don't know what that would be, but hopefully we can do that. And then if you're really engaging in this, put a comment in there and just tell me, hey, how about doing something else, or maybe do this, or touch on that. This is Ron signing off. See you in the next video.